Back in February of this year, I was browsing Kickstarter and came across a PSX-style, old-school survival horror game by Tainted Pact Games. I love that developers are still committed to making these types of games so that aging nostalgia gremlins like me can relive the awesome feeling of booting up a new survival horror experience where all I had to worry about for the next few hours was inventory management and how many saves I had left. But anyway, Flesh Made Fear dropped for beta testers around 3 or 4 days ago, and I had a great time with it. It had a very simple story, but that's to be expected, so don't expect any complex webs of lore being untangled here. As explained, it's a game of fixed camera angle and undead shooting goodness. We're going to jump into the video now, but if you are enjoying it, be sure to leave a like as it does help the video perform a bit better. Finally, there'll be spoilers in this video for Flesh Made Fear, but with all that said, let's begin. 1992, a rapid response unit belonging to the Reaper Intervention Platoon, RIP for short, are headed to the small middle-of-nowhere town of Rotwood. This squad take care of all the government's dirty secrets. One of their operatives, a Cole Whitlock, a recon specialist, had earlier been sent to Rotwood to do some recon when he went radio silent. Hence why this squad has now been sent in order to find out what happened to Cole and to locate and take down a man known as the Ripper. On the way, the bridge to the town is up, so they assess the situation, and the squad leader, Bill, says they need to find a way to get the bridge down so they can proceed. With Cole's last known location being on the outskirts of Rotwood, Jack Richards, aka Bones, is to take his partner Katya via the eastern path towards the watchtower, and Natalie Lewis, aka Nix, is to take her partner Marcus via the western path towards the campgrounds. For the sake of story, we'll focus primarily on Jack's journey throughout the story, as playing with Natalie is somewhat similar, but with only a few minor differences which we'll cover in the part of this video where we discuss the endings. Checking out the watchtower, Jack and Katya find a gate that looks as if it has been torn apart by something. Powering up the watchtower and climbing it, he finds no sign of the Ranger, only a bloodied mattress and signs of a struggle. Nonetheless, he finds the key for the gate and he and Katya head through it. They spot a strange tree, and reaching inside it, Jack, rather bizarrely, finds a journal left there by the Ripper, which is an insight into his background with the CIA, where he previously worked as a scientist on MK Ultra. More on his background later. Moving forwards, they come to a weak-looking bridge, which will allow them to cross the fast-flowing river below. Jack crosses first, but the bridge breaks, and he loses his radio. Katya tells him that she'll find another way across, and they split up. Approaching the building with the bridge controls, unfortunately it's locked, so Jack will need to find the key for it. Finding a gas station nearby called Rusty's Pump, Jack needs a key to enter, so going to the nearby restrooms, he finds the dead body of Rusty, whose key is lying there next to him. Unfortunately, it does seem that whatever is going on in Rotwood is reanimating the dead, and Jack has to put the undead Rusty down, whose body combusts. Strange. More of the undead then start to crawl through a barricade. Entering the store, around back, Jack finds blueprints for a bomb, and figures that if he can get to the truck by lowering the bridge, there'll be a breaching charge there that he can use. He just needs the other materials. Passing through the barricade that the monsters came through, Jack comes across yet another monstrosity, this one exploding into a green acidic mist. Passing through the sheriff's house, he finds out about lots of things locked in the basement. After finding an odd medallion in the basement, the monsters break out of their confinement, and Jack shoots them all. He's now found the key and the handle he needs in order to lower the bridge, so he heads there, lowers the bridge, and approaching the truck, he finds it destroyed by something. Is it the same beast that caused the carnage at the watchtower? Well, he soon has to hide from this beast. After it leaves, disappearing into the forest, Jack grabs the breaching charge and uses the medallion in order to access a trailer park. Weirdly, a horrific effigy sits right in the middle of the trailer park. In there though, he is able to find everything he needs in order to build a bomb. And that's good too, as there's a massive pile of debris blocking a tunnel he needs to pass through to get to downtown Rotwood. Building and using the bomb, he clears a path, heading downtown whilst a man watches him and laughs. This man is the Ripper. So let's look at his background for a second. Victor Rippard was once a leading CIA scientist, involved in the CIA's mind control experiments, codenamed MK Ultra. He was considered a genius, but dissatisfied with the limits of what he could do with the CIA, he became his very own test subject and injected himself with mind-altering compounds, and, as expected, this turned him insane. He then disappeared, taking all of his research with him. he would realize something and would turn to the occult.
It wasn't enough to shatter the mind. To truly impose my will, I needed to bind their very souls. Through rituals as ancient as the soil itself, I infused my serums with energies that defy reason, drawn from rites whispered in forgotten tongues.
He left the project and the CIA and dedicated himself to not only unlocking the deepest layers of the human mind, but to also control it.
But it wasn't enough. The mind resists. It clings to its identity like a drowning man to driftwood. So, I asked myself, what if I could make the mind a blank canvas, ready to be rewritten? A godlike power, mine to wield. The others at the project, they lacked vision, too confined by the leash of ethics, regulations, bureaucracy. MK Ultra was meant to revolutionize the human mind, to break the barriers of consciousness. Instead, it became a hollow shell of its potential, suffocated by cowards. Rotwood, a quiet, unassuming place, nestled in isolation, surrounded by dense forests and forgotten roads. When I first stumbled upon it, I knew it was Providence, a perfect hunting ground for my work. It wasn't long before I established myself, a shadow, moving through its streets, selecting my test subjects from among the unsuspecting townsfolk. My serum had evolved by this point, infused with the energies I'd unearthed from my study of rituals and ancient rites.
He made his way to Rotwood. He would become the town's new doctor, and the sheriff would welcome these services, as the closest hospital was an hour away. The sheriff did, however, comment that something was off with Victor. One woman did state, though, that he'd managed to fix her arthritis with a simple injection. Victor became very popular in the town itself, but really, and as we heard him say just now, this was just his staging ground for the new world he envisioned. Something that he would come to consider art and the age of flesh. More will be uncovered about the Ripper, but for now, let's get back to what Jack's doing. Having passed through the tunnel, Jack comes to the Bluebird Inn, and there are fleshy growths everywhere. Approaching one of the rooms, he hears a gunshot, and he finds the occupant of this room has ended their life, and a TV is on, just emitting static. There, Jack also finds that there are many contraptions blocking the way forward, clearly having been purposely set up, presumably by the Ripper himself. These challenges aren't much problem for a conundrum-solving genius like Jack, and he receives a lion medallion. He also finds Cole's Jeep there. So he's still in the town, somewhere. Using the lion medallion on a gate, he is confronted by the large monster he saw by the bridge, and using his skill in combat, Jack gets the better of it, and it, just like the other monsters have, combusts. It also fell through a fence, creating a way out for Jack. A short way down the road, he comes to Devin's diner, and it's now confirmed that the Ripper is messing with him, and a record plays on the jukebox upon him entering the diner. The Ripper, clearly insane, says that what's going on here is Rotwood's rebirth. He mentions Cole and calls him a brave soul, and seems angry that Jack took down the large monster that he calls his bubonic behemoth. He says that he's riddled the streets of the town with tests of the mind and the flesh. The perfect playground for his creations, he claims. Solving another puzzle there in the diner, Jack obtains the key to the gate to the diner, and upon exiting he comes across Bill, who's shooting some monsters. Speaking with him, he says that the squad scattered. He points out the sheriff's department next to them, and he boosts Jack over the wall, telling him to find some answers whilst he, Bill, tracks down the other squad members. Inside, more monsters and puzzles await, but Jack is able to find Cole there, locked inside one of the holding cells. He's badly injured, in terrible shape, but he is alive. He says he was on the Ripper's trail, but that at some point, he just blacked out. The computer that controls the locks on the cells is busted, so Jack will need to journey deeper into the sheriff's department to find another terminal. Finding some keys and coming across another grotesque creation of the Rippers, Jack is able to access the sheriff's office and unlocks the cells. Returning to Cole, however, it's as expected. He is transformed into something and he attacks Jack, who is forced to defend himself, and he kills what was left of Cole. Cole dropped the key to his room at the motel, and going there, Jack finds the radio in Cole's room had been destroyed. What's more, Cole was very close to finding the Ripper.
Cole Whitlock, RIP Squad Recon, final log. I split from the others from the sheriff's house and returned to my room here in Bluebird Inn. I immediately checked my long-range radio equipment to see if I could get through this damn fog. But the wires were slashed to hell. Sabotage. It had to be the Ripper. I know what he's doing. Turning this whole town into a twisted maze. I've seen the symbols, traps. This isn't chaos, it's control. And I won't let him finish it. I'm making the call. No more waiting. Ripper has to be stopped. If I fail, and this is all that's left of me, Jack, Nat, Bill, I hope you know I died with my boots on.
Jack finds a tool for lifting manhole covers, and he uses this to descend into the sewers. So just what has been going on in this town? There are many journals and tapes left around Rotwood that paint a picture of what happened here in the town. Shortly after the Ripper had arrived, the ranger for the National Forest on the outskirts of Rotwood would begin to find mutilated deer, with clean cuts that resembled the handiwork of a butcher. He tried to report it, but it was dismissed as being the work of poachers, but he would find more of them. He would report feeling like something was stalking him, something big, but that moved very fast. He would find claw marks, and he reported hearing static on the radio, but heard a voice within it repeating the phrase, "Cleanse your sins." The voice told him to do terrible things, and he started blacking out and losing track of time. The voice would laugh and tell him that only fire would save him, and he burned himself alive in order to cleanse himself. The sheriff, on the other hand, would notice a thick fog arriving in the town, and with it, people reported seeing things moving within it. He would also notice that more and more of the townsfolk were acting strangely and losing their memories, wandering the streets, all confused. And then the screaming began. He found one woman had been torn apart by her own husband, who was no longer a human. The 4th grade teacher at the school, Mrs. Harper, had journaled that the children had also changed as their eyes had gone cloudy, and they started screaming. She had locked herself in the classroom in the school, but heard the children clawing at the door. And it was around this point that Cole Whitlock had turned up in the town. The sheriff wrote on his computer about how the station fell, that they tried to hold the line but the creatures just kept on coming, that there was no end to them. They decided to abandon the station and they left downtown, sealing the tunnel behind them, and this is why Jack found the tunnel blocked by debris. The sheriff also raised the bridge in order to keep unsuspecting people out of town and to stop things getting out. They would retreat to the sheriff's house. But the survivors they took with them changed, and the sheriff had to lock them in the cellar, whilst Cole went somewhere else. The sheriff would eventually end up barricading himself in his bedroom, and he too felt himself changing. He was hearing voices in his head. Something is going on in the static, on radios and on TVs. As we saw, it drove this guy to end himself. Before long, the town was completely overwhelmed and was now crawling with its former residents having now become soulless husks and manifestations of hell.
These creatures, they were more than I ever imagined, and yet, as monstrous as they were, they obeyed me. My will was their law, their very essence bound to the energies I had infused into the serum. Rotwood had become my proving ground, a living experiment in domination of the mind, body and soul. It's almost poetic, really. A quiet town, now a place of flesh, made free.
As we'd heard on Cole's recording, the Ripper had turned the town into a twisted maze with evil symbology everywhere. He'd been consumed by his madness. He created many monstrous things using his serum, but none of them more curious to him than the ones he called sleepers, and these resembled cocoons, awaiting their season of awakening. He'd also discovered that these creations of his were combusting.
It cannot stand silence. It cannot stand stillness. And so, it erupts. Most bodies that betray me in death detonate. The flesh revolting against its own end. A grand finale of gore. Their corpses bursting like fireworks in the night. Their souls must be writhing now, howling in the depths. I laugh to imagine it. Failures, damned twice over. Their bodies bursting here, while their spirits burn below. They were never worthy of my gift. Just meat full of fire. With every ritual, the cracks widened. Not just in the ground, no. The air itself fractured. The town bleeding, changing. Reality peeled back like rotted skin, and behind it, the inevitability of my design pulsed. Rotwood is not a town anymore. It is a wound I carved open, and I am the only one fit to wield the knife.
Along with his madness being inflicted on the town, the Ripper would keep trophies by way of the missing persons posters of those that he'd killed. So with Cole dead, there's only one thing to do: pursue and kill the Ripper. Moving further into the sewers, Jack comes across Katja, who is knocked out. Coming to, she explains that she was searching a house full of medical equipment when she fell through the floor and ended up here in the sewers. Whilst Jack stays put, Katja tries to find her way round and to him, but after avoiding or fighting many sewer-dwelling monsters, she discovers a dead end, but she does find a medallion down there which she gives to Jack upon returning to him. He promises that he won't leave her down there and will find a way to free her. With no option than to leave the sewers, he does so, uses the medallion he received, and then emerges outside K-Rot radio station. Entering, he finds it consumed by more growths and has to fight a monster down in the basement of the radio station. Doing so though, he got a key to leave via the gate, so it wasn't a totally useless effort. Emerging out into another part of downtown Rotwood, Jack finds he needs 3 items, 3 staffs in order to progress further. Searching the buildings in the area, he finds one in the school, another in a store, one left. He also comes across a wounded Bill who's being tended to by Zach, the squad's driver. Bill says he's in bad shape, so he needs Jack to get back out there and find the others, and they found a crimson medallion which Jack takes with him. Passing back through the sewers again, he comes out of the Ripper's clinic. Searching it and heading into the basement, he finds not only one of the Ripper's unfinished creations, but a room, and spotting a monitor, Jack sees Katja on it and activates the elevator so she is finally able to escape. Using the Crimson Medallion, Jack gains access to a video rental store and the movie theatre The Crimson Reel. After fighting or avoiding strange floating creatures inside, Jack grabs the final staff and returns to place all 3 into the respective stands. Having now gained access to the Rotwood Cemetery, Jack enters the church and he finds the Ripper in there. He says that this is only the beginning, and he unleashes one of the previously mentioned sleepers from its cocoon. After fighting and defeating the Ripper's Messiah of Mutilation, Jack heads round to the back of the church and retrieves a key with runes on it. This is for the tram in the centre of town, so upon using the key, he travels to Redwick House. The Redwick House is on the National Register of Historic Places, but it's also been taken over by the Ripper. It's time to put an end to this. Entering, this place is a bloody mess, with growths all over the place. Making his way into the basement of this place, Jack comes across Bill and Zach, who have been captured by the Ripper and placed into a trap wherein if they move, their heads will be blown off by shotguns pointed at them. An alarm goes off indicating that Jack does not have much time, so he needs to act quickly. Placing his arm inside a dangerous contraption, he manages to deactivate the trap in time, and a relieved Zach, Bill is still passed out, tells Jack to try and find a way out. Finding 2 parts to another strange puzzle, Jack heads through a door and confronts the Ripper. He says that Rotwood was just the cocoon, and now it's time for him to spread his wings. It's clear that the Ripper wants to take this and spread it around the world. He calls it the preaching of his gospel of control. He has another of his sleepers here and unleashes it on Jack while he escapes. This one is a tough enemy, but it's no match for Jack, as he swiftly defeats it. Catching up to the Ripper, he finds him preparing to escape Rotwood via chopper. The Ripper goes on about how this is just the beginning, but Jack shoots him through the eye, clearly sick of his bull, and revenge for what he did to Cole. Now, the ending varies depending on who was saved throughout the story. If Jack or Natalie did not save Katya or Marcus in the sewers, and failed to save Bill and Zach in their mansion, then a variation of a bad ending takes place, with the worst ending being the one where no one is saved other than the protagonist, who leaves via a chopper and goes missing. In the best and true ending, everyone is saved, and they all escape via the chopper with the Ripper's twisted vision put to death. However, as they fly away, the Ripper is revealed to be alive. The game then ends. In terms of difference when it comes to playing as Natalie, some unique areas are able to be explored, such as Barlow's meats and the campgrounds, and Katya is replaced by Marcus, but that's really it. But that's it for Flesh Made Fear, a really simple story for a game that I thoroughly enjoyed. As I stated in my Tormented Souls 2 video, I do really enjoy that these old school survival horror type games are being kept alive through indie developers, and I'm glad I was able to find this one to back via Kickstarter. If you enjoyed this game and want to play it for yourself, then the Steam link is down in the description. Also, if you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like on it and subscribe if you are not already. But for now, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.